Okay, welcome. So this is Node-RED. Node-RED is a graphical tool to basically create web services. I'll give you a quick example. Here you don't really need to write code except then within the actual nodes. So this is a quick example. This is an injection node. Here on the side you have all of the nodes that you can use to basically create your applications. Inject node is like a button. So if you press a button, this is connected to this message.payload, which is a debug. It will show you what it does, what message it has. So click this, and magically here on the side, you can see hello Node-RED. This is basically, it has a payload, which contains hello Node-RED. So every time you press it, it will create a message, and that message gets relayed to the next node. This node simply showcases what's inside the message. So everything here happens by message. There is one message that goes from one node to another node. You don't go sideways. You can't create other things. It's always one message that goes into another. So let's see another example. Let's create, for example, something a little bit more complicated, like a serve a web page. So what we need is an HTTP in. This is a node that basically can be used to configure an actual endpoint. So we want to serve a web page, a simple web page. We can go here, we set it to get, or post, put, delete. In this case, get. I'm going to say we're going to serve the URL is going to be site, and then it's going to be home. Now keep in mind, this does not do the usual index.html kind of thing. It's not configured to do that. Anyway, so home, just to give it a name. But this is the URL. If we hit this URL, we will activate this node. So let's go and now get a template. So template, here we're going to change this to a very simple web page, which is I guess HTML, head, SRT 737, body, close the body, h1, and the usual hello world, and let's make it done. We're going to call this homepage maybe. Okay, done. Then we need to actually serve it. So we need to have an HTTP response. Okay, let's go response. We don't really need to do anything. It's good to generally have some numbers here to actually say yes, it has worked, like in this case a 200. And let's just deploy it. So now if I haven't made any mistakes, what I can do is I can copy the head, this part, I'll put it into a new page, and I'm gonna do /site home, and if everything goes well, here's my web page. So this is the simplest thing that we could do. Now let's say that, for example, we want to do something a little bit more complex. We can start doing something like this to actually see, see a little bit more. Let's redeploy again. Let's make a request again. And as you can see, in here, the request arrived here. It created a message which basically contains some HTTP metadata. Goes in here, activates this, and then it activates two nodes at the same time. One is the response, which is basically returning the message to the user that called it, but also goes into the debug. And as we said, the debug simply displays what's inside the message, and that's inside the message. And this is it. This is the simplest thing that you can do here. If you want to do something which is more like an actual, let's say, an actual service, maybe we can go here. We can go and get a function, and then we return the function HTTP response. Let's say that this function was, let's just do something that I always want to do. The random number generator JavaScript. There you go. Let's use the method random, which is probably the simplest thing to do. There you go, function. So this service is our greatest service, which returns a random number. So let's go in here. We want to create a random number. So this is where you create your function in JavaScript. So function get random. You should know. You should be able to read this. So we need to actually call that function. So var a equal get random int. What's the maximum they want to give it? Maximum 10, I guess. So we will get that, and then what we need to do is we need to put this inside the actual message, because otherwise this is not going to go anywhere, and the message here will just go as it arrived. So what we need to do here is we need to go message dot payload dot a equal a. So this way we're actually saving a into the payload. Okay, yeah, that sounds good enough for me. Is returning it to the next node. So this one returns it to the next node. You call it randomizer. Done. Deploy. No, there's one not confirmed. Yes, of course, I forgot to configure this. We call this, we're gonna put an API in front of it, random. So deploy should work. And now let's go in here. I'm gonna go API random. And there you go. You just got a random number returned. And we can call this as many times as you want. I guess one thing that you could do is, if you were an addicted player of D&D, you could create the greatest random number generator in the world. So this is how you create a very, very simple web service. Thank you very much for watching, and this should be it for week 2. Bye bye.